Ah, you're back, and just in time for another story. I found another peculiar tidbit from the Star Wars Archives, 1999 to 2005, by Paul Duncan. In that case, have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Well, actually, have you ever heard the mystery of the Chosen One's birth? I thought not.
Perhaps the most fascinating story out of the Skywalker saga has little to do with Anakin and Luke themselves, but rather the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise. As we all know, Plagueis was the Sith to allegedly first really master and experiment with immortality, and that is the tale as old as time, especially in the Star Wars galaxy. But another story is parallel to this one as well. I now take you back to a fateful scene between Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn and Anakin's mother, Shmi Skywalker.
The Force is unusually strong with him. That much is clear. Who was his father?
There was no father. I can't explain what happened.
Now, I found a piece of information here in the archives that is really interesting. Not only is it mentioned here, but it's also found in new canon, as you'll see in a moment. On page 460 of the Star Wars Archives by Paul Duncan, a new perspective, or matter of fact, is revealed to us through the lens of the maker himself, George Lucas. And so it reads. On April 13th, Lucas delivered the 111-page first draft of the script, which contains many refinements and action details. Shock T was added to the opening sequence on the Separatist cruiser. Rashid's killed by General Grievous in front of Anakin and Obi-Wan. Han Solo had also been removed. Instead, Chancellor Palpatine sends Obi-Wan to Utapau to locate General Grievous. Grievous now has 2 arms that separate into 4 arms, and he has been trained how to wield lightsabers. Now here's where today's video revolves around. Palpatine no longer claims that he arranged for Anakin's conception, although he does tell the young Jedi the story of Darth Plagueis, who could stop life forms from dying. So as we just read, on April 13th of that year, George Lucas made a notable concession to the story, one where Palpatine was actually, in essence, the true father of Anakin Skywalker, and that Anakin's conception was really arranged and influenced by Palpatine himself. Now, arranged could also be subjective. It could be that Palpatine created Anakin in a way, or that he learned from the teachings of Plagueis himself. Interestingly enough though, in the Darth Plagueis novel by James Luceno, it is heavily implied that Plagueis was the one who probably put the series in motion that led to Anakin's virgin birth. After some experimenting with creating life, around that same time Anakin is conceived, though it could also be that Anakin was created by the Force itself in response to the dark advancements by the old Sith Master. And for a little bonus here from the Duncan Archives, we can also see the influence of George Lucas's thoughts in today's Marvel Comics, where the idea of Palpatine creating Anakin is played with here in the recesses of Vader's nightmares as he embarks on a road of revelation to bring back the pieces of his past. And if you want to read more about this comic, check out the Darth Vader 2017 comic series by Charles Soule, more specifically issue number 25. And I'll leave you with this interesting quote from the author Charles Soule himself, because this actually might relate back the concepts of the dark side, Plagueis, Palpatine, Anakin, and George Lucas as well. In an interview, Charles Soule, the author of this Dark Lord Vader series, said this: "I'm in fact the writer. Matt and I work closely on this series, and this point in particular. I hate explaining stuff in my work too much in detail, but you need to understand the scenario happening here. The dark side is not a reliable narrator. So it would be certainly interesting to see who's on the light side here, and what's the real truth. Is the original truth embedded in the original scripts, or is it embedded in the idea that the Force created Anakin? Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments below."
It is certainly always wise to consider all aspects of what lay around us. It's something I always incorporate when learning something new, since, as you can see, history can be somewhat tricky, especially in places like our galaxy. And with that being said, if you like Star Wars Infinite, or are simply enjoying the tales from the Archive series, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, stay safe out there, and may the Force be with you, always.